We're now talking to NHL.com and NHL media producer, Rob Taub. Robbie, what's up, man?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
We are good, man, and you're a Jet fan. I love that. So, I mean, Freddie was attacking our Jets, but that's
Yeah.
okay. That's okay. Yeah, he's an NFC East fan, but he's going to watch them just completely collapse because he says it's all about playing whatever's on their schedule. But come on, look who the Giants have played. Give me a break. Look who the Cowboys have played. Give me a break. Look who the Eagles have played. Give me a break. And by the way, same thing with the Washington football team. Oh, Commanders, whatever you want to call them.
I'll give the Commanders credit. They helped me out on Monday in my pro pick'em pool, so I got to give them some credit for that. So I'm happy that they won outright, even though I just need them to lose by under 10. So
there you go. There you go. So before we get into everything and a change from the Islanders to the NHL, how have you been since we last spoke? I mean, it was COVID time when we last spoke to you. How are you feeling?
yeah, things have been good. I'm just doing my stuff with the NHL again this year and having a blast doing it. I'm watching the Islander game right now and basically getting paid to watch hockey. I really can't complain about my situation right now. And yeah, just doing my thing and loving every minute of it.
So why don't we get into it? Obviously, when we look at the NHL, and last year the Islanders were just not having a good season. They did not play very well last season, and now this season it's a complete transformation. Maybe because the first month they actually played home games, and maybe with the COVID-19 situation they didn't lose 9 players in 2 weeks, which they went on a 12-game losing streak. So what is the difference of this team? Is it Lambert? Is it really Lambert and the way he's defined this offense and defined these lines? What do you think is the change of the New York Islanders this year?
I think the difference is they're playing more aggressive offensively. And we could go on all day and night about everything that happened last year. Everything that happened last year, it was just a combination of everything that could go wrong, did go wrong. And I feel like they basically threw it out the window, start right after the season ended. And they came into this season, saying that, we have a chip on our shoulders and we want to prove a point again that we're still one of the best teams in this league, when they're still one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. And they've done that so far. And even just watching them tonight, they're a resilient bunch. I mean, they were down 4-1. They're only down by a goal with 10-15 left to play. And they could easily tie this game and they could steal a point out of this game against Nashville. But what I'm seeing is they're also capitalizing on their opportunities, all because they are playing more aggressive offensively. I'm seeing it a lot more, and now it's 5-3, so there goes that. But no, just guys are playing a lot. They're doing a lot more simpler things offensively instead of like last year. It just seemed like everybody from the start had it rough. JG Pajot had it rough. Zach Parise had it rough. Matthew Barzal had it rough. Just all these guys that they needed to be offensive contributors just didn't get off to the greatest start, and they just never recovered. And it hurt them in the long run because they went a long stretch without winning. And as you said, the COVID and everything that compiled with it, it just made things that much more tougher. So I feel like what we're seeing this year from them that's good is the offense is really playing. They're showing a lot more creativity and they're scoring a lot more goals. And I think complement that with their defense, which is still very, very solid, and great goaltending from Sorokin and Varlamov. And they are where they are this year. I mean, it's still early. It's only 18 games, but there's a lot to like about it so far.
So the goal scoring prowess has definitely been the biggest thing of note for the Islanders too, and a lot of the veteran guys stepping up, bouncing back. Beauvillier had a bad year, bouncing back. Brock Nelson, Anders Lee, guys like that playing back to their top forms. Do you think how many of these players do you think can be sustainable throughout the whole year in terms of what their current production is?
Well, I think Brock Nelson can definitely. I know he got off to a slow start again this year, but he's really come on of late. He's leading the team in goals right now. That's not a surprise. I pegged him to score 40 goals this year because. I mean, I know he had a high shooting percentage last year, and that's why he scored 37, which was his career high. But he's a guy who could score 40 goals, and I wouldn't be surprised if he hits that this year. I mean, a guy like Anthony Beauvillier, he's had a rough couple games, the past couple games, but he's still. It's hit or miss with him by now. Like that's just the way Islander fans know it by now, and basically the rest of the league knows that he's a hit or miss type of guy. He could be great on some nights, and then he could just be absolutely invisible on others. And they need a guy like him. They've needed a guy like him to step up for a long time, and it just hasn't happened. But it's, as I said, it's only 18 games. There's still a lot of season left. He can honestly go on a hot streak. You're seeing much more better production out of Zach Parise. You're seeing better production out of guys like JG Pajot. Anders Lee is off to a great start this year. I mean, it seems after he's finally fully healthy, which was great to hear. But I think it took him such a long time last year to finally get his legs under him. And then once he finally found them, he's been able to really, bring his game back to the level he was before the injury, which was he was a goal scoring machine. He could have had 30 goals the pandemic year, the last time we spoke, and that injury kind of cost him. And he was just never the same after that. But now he's really playing to the level everyone knows he's at. And it's really helping. It's made the team a lot more better.
We are talking to NHL.com and NHL media producer Rob Taub. So the Rangers, everybody thought that the Rangers were going to be the predominant top 2 seed in the Metropolitan Division and throughout the Eastern Conference. Even though they're playing decent hockey, and everybody says, well, they're not playing that bad, but they're 8-6 right now this year. They've had 3 overtimes. They have 19 points, but they really haven't played at the top of their games. And maybe that has a lot to do with obviously players not playing up to par this year. I mean, Zibanejad started strong. Panarin has been fantastic, but there are other guys who scored, and you know who I'm talking about. He scored 50 goals last year, and I spoke about him going into the offseason, and I said that the Rangers should trade him when he's at his high point, and they decided to keep him. And now you look at it right now. This is a second year where he's not scoring goals, he's not putting the puck in the net, and this is a problem. This is a problem for the Rangers. If they can't score goals, they're not a defensive team, and Shesterkin has not had a really good strong start. So what do you think the problem is with the New York Rangers right now?
I think the problem is everyone knows the book on them now. I think that you see if they don't get spectacular goaltending night in and night out from Igor Shesterkin, they're a beatable team. I've seen it on a lot of nights so far this year. There's been games, the Detroit game, they were up 2-0. It was only 3 weeks ago. They're up 2-0. They end up blowing a 2-goal lead. They lose in overtime. Now, granted, Yaro Halak was in net, but it's still, you got to win that type of game. I mean, those are the games you have to win. The Islander game, for another example, Shesterkin's in net. You have a 4-2 lead going into the third period. Got to shut it down. And they just let the Islanders run right through them in the third period. I feel like, and you made the point about Chris Kreider, I think he's starting to find his legs again. He's starting to find that goal-scoring prowess. I do think last year might have been an anomaly. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of people I talk to say, like, this year, if he hit 35 goals, they'd be satisfied. And I kind of agree with that. But to me, you score 50 goals one year, I think you should still be, close to the 40, 45 range the following year. And I don't know. I think that with the Rangers, I still think their bottom 6 is not that strong. I mean, you're seeing it now where they're kind of flip-flopping in between keeping Ryan Reeves in the lineup, a guy who was always playing last year, and now he's not. And I don't know. You have guys like Capo Caco and Alexis Lafreniere who are good. They're good players. They showed it in the playoffs, but it just seems like it hasn't translated so far this year. And they have a guy, Vitaly Kravtsov, who just can't seem to stay on the ice. He seems to always be getting hurt, not to his own fault, but it seems like he needs to learn how to protect himself better. That's another guy that they thought was going to be a difference maker this year, especially in their bottom 6, and it just hasn't worked out that way. And it's tough to see, but I really feel that their game, and I really don't want to speak about the defense because I think Keandre Miller is a really good player. I think Adam Fox is Adam Fox. He's a stud. And they've got other guys like Ryan Lindgren and, Zach Jones and other guys who just maybe haven't had the years that they wanted to so far. Add that up with not so great goaltending a lot, like most of the time, and it's going to come back to bite them, and it has so far. But as always, it's still early. It's still very, very early, and there's a lot of hockey left to be played. I learned this quote a long time ago. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And we'll see, who is standing in the end. Right now, I mean, I think the Rangers are still going to be a playoff team, but I think they could take a step. They've so far taken a step back.
I wish Rick Nash could take that advice. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Then he wouldn't wipe out on the board so many times.
Yeah.
And so my question is about the dilemma of, do you break up the kid line that a lot of Ranger fans were having at the beginning of the season because they did so well in the playoffs. It was consistently their best line in those 3 playoff series. And now Capo Caco's gotten a lot of good first line opportunities. We've seen Lafreniere get a couple, not as much because Capo Caco's done well with that kind of thing. What do you think they should approach this way going forward? Do you think they should get the top 6 opportunities, or do you put them back together?
I think they should I think you got to find them their niche in the top 6. Look, I mean, the playoffs are a totally different ballgame than the regular season, and you'll do whatever line you think is working. That's what you're going to go with. But I think right now, to put them back together, it might spark them. But I think that it's still so early to really just like to make that decree. Like, oh, we're just going to change it just to change it, just to find a spark. Like, of course, you want to find a spark, but let's say they do that, and a couple games later, like they have a really bad game together, they're going to get broken up. They're still very young. They're very young. They're young kids, and I think trying to find that right place for them in the lineup is more important right now than putting them back together. I really do. I think that that's what's going to be what gets the Rangers to play a more consistent, like have a more consistent, like flow offensively. Because I mean, yeah, I can go look at the game they played against Arizona and they scored a bunch of goals, but that's Arizona. Arizona is not that great defensively and not that great in goal. But I look at other teams and you have those guys just aren't a factor most of the time. So I think right now the game plan in place should be see how things play out. And then if Gallant wants to throw them back together, you do that. But I don't think you go to that at this moment unless you're in desperation mode.
As everybody knows, we are talking to NHL.com and NHL media producer Rob Taub. What is going on with the New Jersey Devils? I have no idea what this team is all about. Nobody thought they were this good. I mean, Jack Hughes is finding his legs. He's still very young, but he's finally becoming that star that everybody thought he was going to be. Nico Hershier, he's been a great player. Jesper Bratt, who everybody doesn't even know who he is. He's 5'10", small guy, speed. He's the best player right now on this Devils team. Hamilton, who they spent a lot of money in the offseason the year before, is finally showing why they opened up their pockets for him. What is the New Jersey Devils? Are they this good?
I think they are good. I can't say that they are really, really good. I know this run has been unbelievable for them. The way that they've won games, the way that they've stolen games. And as you were pointing out, Jack Hughes, he's been a stud. I watched the play that he made in overtime that led to the game winner tonight. That's a elite level play that he made, and he helped win his team the game. What I think they're getting right now is they're getting everyone to buy in, and they're getting contributions from everybody. It's not just their offense, it's their defense, it's their goaltending. Everyone I talked to in the offseason and I went on a Devils podcast with a few friends of mine, and I said they will not go anywhere this year unless they get goaltending. And right now they're getting it. It stinks what happened to Mackenzie Blackwood. It seems like he just has a string of bad luck. And you've got Vitek Vanacek, who, last year in Washington didn't really do himself that many favors, but this year he's been tremendous. And he had another great game tonight, only gave up 2 goals. And I just think they're getting contributions from everybody, and they're playing with swagger. They're young, they're fast, they're a hard team to play against. And if you have the wrong matchup against them, they're going to expose you. And they've done it to a bunch of teams so far. But I feel, yes, they've won 11 games in a row. I need to see this happen for a full season before I declare them a playoff team and possible real contender. I still think it's early. And I've seen where the Devils have had great starts the past couple of years, and then they just fell off the tracks. And I think a lot of that had to do with injuries, had to do with subpar goaltending, and guys just not being consistent enough. Now they're getting guys who are playing a lot more consistent hockey. Jesper Bratt is a superstar in the making. If they do not sign him, it'll be a huge, huge mistake. I do see them signing him in the offseason, not to take from the Aaron Judge playbook. I think he bet on himself this year and was like, all right, I'm going to go out there and prove I'm one of the best players in the NHL. And you're going to pay me at the end of the day. I'm going to make you guys pay me at the end of the day. So it's Bratt, it's Hughes. All their guys are they're just running. They're running on flames right now, and it's showing. And I'm happy for my friends who are Devil fans. I just still think I'm not ready to declare them a bona fide playoff team. Just can't do it just yet.